Hi, good morning. How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Claudia Tester in Can. Hold on. Apparently, there is some difficulty. You're not hearing me. Hold on. Colleen, it's you. It's you, Colleen. It's you. She's telling me she can't hear me, but it's her. It's you. Yeah, I just checked and oh, let me turn this down. I just checked and Colleen, can you hear me? I can't hear you either. It's you. It's you, my dear. It's you. Sorry about that, folks. We seem to be having some technical difficulty here on Colleen's part because I think you all are hearing me. Okay, let me just check again. Let me just check on my phone here if I'm hearing myself. Yeah, I'm hearing myself. So while she sort that out, how have you been, everybody? Thanks for joining us. My name is Claudia Testerine Campbell, and I'm the president and chairperson of the Daughters of Sheba Foundation. So the Daughters of Sheba Foundation is a Canadian registered nonprofit. Colleen, you want to try speaking?
Mic check.
I can hear you now. Okay, she'll be back. The Daughters of Sheba Foundation is a Canadian registered nonprofit organization. We're based in Edmonton, Alberta, and our mission is to empower women. Whatever you think that means, somewhere down the line, I will always and every day we explain what we understand women empowerment to be. We do women empowerment by conversations like this one. Every Saturday morning, we have Saturday morning conversations, and we choose a topic that we like to discuss as the guide. And we are very open to hearing what you have to say and your contributions. We also have other programs. We have these three things once per month. We do interviews. We do a lot of interviews. So we're here on Facebook. Thank you for the 73,000 of you who have been following us. And we're growing on YouTube. We never used YouTube a lot initially, but the last couple weeks, 3 weeks, I've been working endlessly to get the YouTube up and going to a good standard where I would like it to be. So this morning, our conversation, who remembers what our assignment was from last week? Our assignment from last week was to remember that age is no barrier to greatness. Each year adds wisdom, strength, and beauty to our stories. Or if you want to personalize it to say my story, that's fine as well. So, who remembered that that was your mantra for last week? Colleen is back. Let's see if I can hear her now. Hi, Colleen. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I
Oh,
had to
there
switch
you
device.
go. I know it's not me. I never have a problem. I'm joking. I never have a problem when it comes on to this. I have many other problems, which we will. Some of them we will speak of today because this morning our conversations is about relationships, and Colleen is going to lead this one because she's a stable one when it comes on to relationship. I am totally unstable. So this morning we're talking. Our topic is what is it? Empowered relationships. Where do I have that? Empowered relationships and the missing ingredient. And we will disclose who is the missing ingredient. Usually the missing ingredient is me. So I am a perfect example probably for today's topic. How have you been, Colleen? Did you remember our mantra for last week?
No. What
Age
was
is no barrier to greatness. Each
wow?
year adds wisdom, strength, and beauty to my story. Because
On it down.
last week we were talking about being over 40 women and all that means. Again, my name is Claudia Testerine Campbell. I am the president and chairperson of the Daughters of Sheba Foundation. Khalid, introduce yourself to the people.
I'm Colleen, as you can probably see, and I am a member of the Daughters of Sheba Foundation.
She's an anchor. She's an anchor at the Daughters of Shiva Foundation. She's an anchor for Claudette because Claudette will not eat. Claudette will not sleep. So she's a pain in my butt.
I
What?
yeah. Yes, because you need to. It's like, yeah.
So so
I didn't get much last night, and I am dying for
Oh,
sleep right
yeah,
now.
I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. We won't be here too long. Anyway, folks, thank you for joining us. So this morning we are going to be talking about empowerment in relationships, a missing ingredient. And you know who I am, you know who Colleen is. So how I want to start this is to find out from you if you knew that less than 30% of couples feel empowered in their relationships. Did you know that? Less, I never said 30%, I said less than 30% of couples feel empowered in their relationships. That's a
Um,
surprising statistics.
yes,
Yes,
it is.
Colleen?
It is surprising. I mean, I guess because of awareness, a lot of us are not aware that we are more than we can be. Probably that's why.
Probably, and we'll get into that this morning. So, how does empowerment within a relationship contribute to its overall satisfaction and even growth? So we always hear this word empowerment, and I just want to briefly say what my understanding is, the book understanding is, and Colleen will say what her understanding is. So it says here that I'm reading empowerment in relationship refers to the process and state where everybody in the relationship have the power and confidence to make decisions, express themselves openly, and pursue personal growth. And then they have mutual well-being.
That
So
seems to cover it. Yeah, that covers it mostly.
yeah. Okay. So you don't have anything to add to that.
No, that covers it. That is the whole umbrella. I mean, you can break it down, but that's basically the umbrella. And
Mhm.
trust plays a big part in it also. So you have to trust each other and let each other have their own individual space while uplifting each other in whatever way you can. That's
Awesome.
what a relationship should be.
And good morning, Doreen Clark. I know you by another name, but good morning. Thanks for joining us as always. So let's get into it. So now we know what an empowered relationship, as Colleen says, what an empowered relationship is supposed to look like. Each of you is supposed to have your power to be who you want to be and express yourself openly and pursue your personal growth
Without fear.
without, oh, there you go, maybe that's the missing ingredient, the without fear. So let's get into some of the problems or challenges of relationship, and I'm an expert on that part of it. Colleen is an expert on how to keep it alive and
Oh,
going. I'm an
no.
expert on what causes the breakdown in relationship. So, so one of the, and most of what I'm talking about this morning, or what I will contribute to this conversation this morning, is from personal experience. So lack of communication, that is the first one. Wouldn't you agree, Colleen?
Yes, communication plays a big part. It is the foundation for everything where relationship is concerned. So totally agree. If you want to go ahead first, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, so Doreen is your middle name. Okay, lovely. Okay. I don't know if Colleen know who you are, but I know who you are. Okay, so poor communication often leads to misunderstanding and power imbalance, in the relationship. And to resolve conflicts in a healthy way and expressing yourself in a healthy way and saying what you desire with those two words that Colleen used earlier, without fear
Right,
of judgment or retaliation. That is
right.
a problem in with communication. When you're in an empowered relationship, you have to know how to actively listen and value each other's opinions and their feelings.
Right.
Okay.
Totally correct.
Okay.
Totally correct. Because,
But I would be correct on this because this is me. I have all of these problems with relationships.
well, to tell you the truth, most relationships really start out, um, they don't, people don't really get to know each other properly before we rush into a relationship. And sometimes that's the problem. You have to get to know each other, the ins and the outs of the person, and the trigger points and what the person is like. Because if
Yeah.
you go into a relationship, you don't really get to know everything about the person. Sometimes you have to grow with the person in order to get to know everything.
Yeah.
So there have to be give and take. So communication, as you said, is the key, and you have to learn to listen. If you don't
Yep.
listen, well, you're not going to hear, because sometimes, as I said, imbalance. One partner might be more authoritative than the other one, and more demanding, and
Stop
they want
talking about me.
they want to be the one to be talking and expressing themselves.
Stop talking
They
about
are
me.
always correct, but they don't want to hear what the other person has to say. And the other person is gonna feel, inferior and afraid to talk, because every time they open their mouth, they're walking on eggshells, and they're afraid that they're gonna start a blow out something big.
Yeah,
So they try
and
to
Liquor
keep
Bliss
quiet.
is agreeing with you.
They
Liquor,
keep quiet so as not to cause any big contention, you know, and
yeah.
they will end up blaming themselves for starting something, some argument, when it's really something really petty, and something that if you really listen to each other and work it out, it is like a molehill, but instead you want it to blow it up like a big mountain.
Okay, I just want to pause for a second, Colleen. All you said is correct, and I just wish you would stop telling people about me. I want to say hello to Gianna Karuba. This is a name I'm seeing for the first time. Thanks for joining us. And Liquor Bliss is laughing at me. Danny, stop, behave yourself. And Doreen is saying she endorsed everything that you have said. Yeah, okay. Moving right along. The other problem in relationships that are not empowered is dependence versus independence. You know, one person I remember I was in a codependent relationship for many, 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 many years, too long. So each partner has to have the freedom to make their personal choices and maintain their identity, their independence within the relationship. Please, guys, for example, don't take independence to mean cheating. It just means your ability to make choices for your own life, because not because you're with somebody it means that your ambitions now is the same. That person wants to be an engineer, so you have to want to be an engineer, for example. Empowering relationships respect people's individuality and their desire for personal development. And that goes hand in hand, and it walks beside your shared growth as a couple. Correct, ma'am?
Yes. All that you have said, all of the above. And sometimes it's best to be, what's the word, interdependent,
Okay.
where it's a two-way street. Both of you come in and give what you are able to give, and you work it out together, instead of one person figure that they are doing more, so they should have more talk. Um, you're supposed to, it's not really has to be 50-50, but you have to, as go right back to communication. You have to work out all of those things before you can have a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
um Independence, yes, you have to be independent, and the other person has to respect your independence and not try to make you into who they are,
They are.
and
Mhm.
acknowledge that you are your own individual, you know.
So we have touched on two challenges so far: the lack of communication and the dependence versus independence in the relationship. And the last one I want to look on, unless Colleen has one other that she wants to add. But for me, it's a feeling of inadequacy. You know, when you are in a relationship and you feel inadequate, you feel voiceless almost. So you feel prevented, or you are actually prevented from voicing your needs and desires. So you're stifled in that relationship.
Right, right. And you feel like you have to prove yourself, you know? You have to work a little harder in order to show the person that, you're worthy
You're
of this
worthy.
love. Yes, you're worthy. And that will make you feel insecure, you
Let me
know?
ask you a question, because and for people watching us, you could put it in the comments. And thank you for joining us. Let me ask you a question, because I noticed, I am guilty of it. I have been saying, the way I've been framing it is like it's a woman who has all of the challenges and it's a guy who has the upper hand. Is that's not always true?
No, no, it works both ways. It,
Yeah,
it has nothing to do with the sexes,
this the
the
gender. Yeah,
gender. It has nothing to do with that. Both of you, it come in with your different personalities coming together to mesh and to work. You have to work with the individual person because both of you bring in your past, your upbringing. You're bringing it together. And can you imagine? I mean, it can clash if you don't understand who who you are at first, and then learn who the other person is and work with it,
yeah.
work together. So that is where it is. If everybody figure they are correct and this is how it should be, it must go their way, it's not going to work. You're gonna
Not
have
going to work.
problems.
Yeah. Okay. So what are how do these things affect a relationship satisfaction and the personal well-being? And you've said some of them, Colleen, but you know how does it manifest itself? So lack of communication, dependence versus independence, and feeling inadequate. How do these things manifest, appear? What do you see the person's doing in the relationship, so okay, something is wrong here?
Well, well, the person, as I said, the person is going to be, they're gonna be very aggressive in communicating with you. They're gonna want to have the upper hand, and that's the biggest red flag. And if they always want you to do what they say you must do, be what they say you should be, and they try to take your independence from you, and make you feel not worthy enough. All of that, you have to see the red flags, and know when you must either let go or stand up for yourself. If it's worth keeping, you try to do something to fix the issue. If both of you cannot fix it together, you seek outside source of some help,
Let me
professional
ask you a
help.
question, because you say all of these things that you should do. Do you feel that empowerment is more related to women than it is to men?
Not
Because
really.
as we speak, I keep getting this sense from myself as well, that it's us who women who need to speak up. It's us who feel inadequate. It's us who the aggressive behaviors towards more so than men. What do you think?
Well, it's I think it's because of what society has thrown at us, or what society has taught us, that men are supposed to be the head of the household, and they are supposed to be in charge, and women are don't have it talk any talk. It's all from back in the days, and society teaches us to be that way, to think that way. But
I
now
like
that
your haircut, by the way. Sorry.
oh, thank you. But now that we are being more empowered, we understand what it is all about. To empowerment is all about. We are now learning how to step out of our little box that we have been caged in, and know ourselves more, and step into ourselves. So,
So, as she said that we are more empowered, let us just look at a few other things that when you feel more empowered, what happens, how it manifests. Self-esteem.
oh
Your
yeah,
self-esteem is definitely through the roof, or
yeah,
at least heading in that direction. um, you are able, funny enough, although you are more self-respectful and have more self-regard, you also can foster a better relationship with people because you know who you are. and
exactly, exactly.
and so you value yourself, and you know how that
Right.
feels, so you want to make other people feel that way. At least that's true of me, don't you think?
Well, that is true. When you value yourself and know who you are, yes, you want to pass it on, and that is why you have to see the red flags in relationships. And relationship don't have to mean just your spouse, or so. It can
No,
be
absolutely not.
friends, it can be co-workers, because sometimes your so-called friends are the ones who keep you behind. They want to step on you to they want to shine and keep you in the dark. And what kind of friend is that? A friend
That's not a
uplift each
friend.
other. Yeah, a friend uplift, and also that is part of the relationship that we are talking about. People might think it's just your spouse we're talking about, but no, it
Thank you for clarifying that, Colleen.
you
Thank you
know.
for
So
clarifying that.
you have to see the red flags, and know that you have to set your boundaries. And even in friendships also, you have to set your boundaries. That will help build your self-esteem, because friends sometimes take advantage of you also. It's not only your spouse.
And the other
If
thing
your
that
boss also do it too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
No, a thing that I personally had in the longest relationship I've had, and I'm not going to have another one, in this lifetime. But the longest relationship I had, one of the challenges that I had and that disempowered me was the lack of a support system, both
oh yeah.
within the relationship and external to the relationship. And that's funny enough, that's a dimension of being in an empowered relationship, in that the relationship that I was in terms of external support system, the family didn't like me.
Wow.
It's not hard to imagine. Anyway, they thought I was too this and too that, and unfortunately, some days I bought into it, and a lot of people find themselves in that situation whereby you're in a relationship, you're in a marriage, and the in-laws don't like you, or the sister or the brother don't like you. And so that put pressure on you and on the relationship. So the communication breaks down, the respect breaks down, and all of that. And it's even worse when the person who you are in relationship cannot provide you with any kind of emotional or practical support. And that's true for the workplace as well, as Colleen has been saying.
I think because they themselves probably don't know their own self either, and they probably think what they are doing is the right thing. They don't understand. But according to where in-laws are concerned, I didn't really have that problem. But
Colleen, you have no problem with your relationship. Just saying, let's do the good cop and the bad cop. You are the good cop, the perfect cop when it
I
comes to
guess, I guess
relationship.
it's because sometimes when you are a strong individual and you are strong-willed and you step into your own and know yourself, people are intimidated by it, and they show intimidation in the sense of lashing out at you and trying to
Pull you
carry
down.
you down to their level. So you have to just know when to stand your ground, and know when to say no, Don't
You
let
remember,
them break your boundaries.
you remember in a recent live we had this week, we were talking about this Jamaican personality, Miss Kitty.
Oh yeah,
She immediately came to mind when you said that, because yes, we're not, this is now not intimate relationship. We're talking about her relationship with the general public, you know.
yeah. Hmm.
And when you said that, she immediately came to mind because we were talking about it recently, whereby you have this powerful, opinionated, bright, educated woman, you know, and other women don't like her, you know, simply because of that. And anything that she does, they try to bring her down. They're not supportive, just as our Colleen is describing, wanting her to hold our corner, you know.
Right.
It's so sad though. It's so sad when it's
Very sad. Very sad. It's just
so
that they
what
don't.
huh?
Go ahead. Go
No, I
ahead.
was just going to say, let's go on to what are some of the things then, you know, to feel some strategies that we can use, whether it's in a intimate relationship, work situation, friend to friend situation, how to improve our
Empowerment.
sense of empowerment within whatever relationship we're talking about. What are some of your thoughts on that, Colleen?
Well, all that we have said before are tools that we need to use in a relationship. So as we said, we spoke about the effective communication, learn
Active listening.
right, learning to listen to each other intently, and don't, when somebody is talking, don't try to butt in and interrupt, like you cut
You
them
mean
half.
like I'm doing right now to you?
No, I do it all. No, no, I'm talking like, when you have real issues to discuss in your, especially say, relationship, and you're trying to express yourself, and the other person just don't think what you're saying is worth
Worth listening
listening
to.
to. So they cut you halfway because they're feeling like, they have to get their thoughts in. They
Or
don't
they
have
know what
to
you're going to say.
yeah to the rest of what you're saying. They need to get what they have to say, because what they think, what they say, matters more than what you are saying. And that is that will intimidate you. That's all a part of intimidation, and that will kill your self-esteem.
What about in tandem with that? What about the nonverbal cues? You know, the body language. You know that
Yes,
when
that
you're
works
talking, they're rolling their eyes.
with
They're not looking at you. Yeah.
that's mainly a woman thing still. Women usually do that. Men sometimes will give it a silent treatment, because some men don't like to talk, verbalize their feelings, while most women, I would think, would want to talk and express themselves. Some men just don't want to hear it. They rather be silent and keep up malice or whatever, while you prefer. I don't
You
know, but
think men keep malice? You think men keep malice? I don't have enough experience.
some men who do. I know some men who do. I know.
Yeah.
They will have you up for a long time and build that wall. And every
Okay.
time you do something that they don't like, they put another layer of brick on that wall.
Okay.
And so they, even when you're doing something good, they cannot see it, because they have created that wall that sees, they cannot see past it. So they
And
will,
so
yeah.
you're making a point that Doreen has said that there's lack of mutual respect for each other.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
So you have to be open and honest in a relationship, and lay the
And
cards out on the
clear. Be
table.
clear and direct.
Right. Everything have to be open. But you have to have a sense of trust in order to establish that.
Hmm.
You know,
What
both of
let's
you. Not
let's
it's
just
not a one-way street. It
no,
has to be both
absolutely
of
not.
you.
Let's talk about it. I know it sounds petty and it sounds elementary, but it actually works. The using, like when you're communicating with anybody, even at work or your partner, you know, using I statements instead of
Oh yeah.
pointing your finger. You know, it might sound petty, but when you use I statements, it sounds very like you're accusing the person of doing something. So sorry, the other way around. When you say you, like you make me upset or you make me feel bad, that's the person's back is going to go up, and that wall
Right.
that you are talking about, that's when I'm going to start serious construction of that wall.
Yeah, because
um
they're gonna think that you're blaming them.
yeah, yeah.
So if you have to change it to the I, I don't feel comfortable when you do this, or
Or I feel upset when this happens,
yeah,
and
yes, I would prefer if you could do that, or tell how you feel instead of saying you are the one who's doing this, you do that. So I understand totally what you're saying. Yeah,
yeah,
you're
and
correct.
we need to be empathetic, you know, um,
Exactly.
understand that, hey, not because I'm going to say guy, not because it's a guy that he doesn't have feelings. I posted something, was it 2 days ago or something, where the Pastor Keon, oh, I love that man. I don't know where he is, if it's Atlanta or wherever, but should I ever venture into the States again and to that area, I definitely want to go by his church and take in a Sunday service. He said, I don't know if it's true, that he just flew in from London, England, and he was at a church service, and he was told that there was a guy in the congregation who said that he has never been hugged by a man in his life, never. And this was like a 30-year-old man, and the pastor went over and made a big thing of hugging the man, and it made me cry, quite honestly, because we often don't think that men have feelings. They do.
I think it's because of societal pressures. Because, growing up, man should not interact with another male species that way, because you're going to be called, you know, homophobic. The homophobias. They well, I can speak about Jamaica, because growing up, boys weren't didn't feel free then to hug another boy,
Hmm.
because of the title you
Homophobia.
would get, the stigma behind it. So you grow up that way, and your father don't do it to you. Your father might hug the girls in the family, but they dare not hug the boys. And the child grew up that way, and they don't feel that love from the male, from the male people in their lives.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's
It's,
it.
it's it's sad. It's really sad. I mean,
That is.
I don't think it's going to happen in our lifetime, but we really need to turn it around, and even on our Facebook page, where it's more active than YouTube. As I said, we're just working on our YouTube now. Um, you have guys who will come onto our Facebook page in the comments under like a situation like that, where the pastor showing the man some love by hugging him, or a man saying, "Hey guys, that's wrong," and they will start calling him simp. What, I don't know what that means, but I know it's not a nice thing. They troll and they call fellow men simp because the man is showing some vulnerability, because guys are not supposed to be vulnerable. Where has that gotten us? Where has that
Exactly.
gotten us?
And it's all about society and how we grow up. And that's where it starts. If
Yeah.
society change and see things differently, then the new generation coming up will end up seeing things differently. But instead, society sometimes end up shoving things down your throat. It took a while for us to reach where we are. You're not gonna expect everybody to turn around 360 overnight. So things like that have to grow, and you know, it's been worked on now. So hopefully.
New York check-in, keep going. Okay, thanks, Roots Flower. We're gonna keep going for another 25 minutes here. Thanks for joining us. um and those who are just joining us, in case you don't know, my name is Claudette Estherine Campbell. I am the president and chairperson of the Daughters of Sheba Foundation. And with me this morning is Colleen Query de la Mota. And Colleen is a member of the Daughters of Sheba Foundation and one of the admins of the Daughters of Sheba Foundation, and my ass kicker. Colleen sorry, we are this morning talking about empowerment in relationships and the missing ingredient. And basically, I think what we're coming to is that the missing ingredient is empathy for each other. And
And
would you say that?
yes, and we were talking about strategies on how to for empowerment.
Right,
And
empowering yourself in a relationship.
uh,
And please, folks, this is not just the woman, it's for the guys and the women. And one of
right,
these strategies for empowering yourselves in a relationship is to manage your emotions. So keeping your emotions in check during a conversation, or on the reverse, like a lot of guys do, is actually showing some emotion, showing vulnerabilities and emotion. And it's expressing what you're feeling. As Colleen said, sometimes the men in particular, although you have women who do it, will build walls instead of expressing, hey, I'm not feeling good about this situation. And this is why I don't feel good. Here, I'm using the I statements. I don't feel good, and explain themselves. No, they just shut it right down. We need to learn how to express ourselves in our relationships.
and create meaningful communication. Because also, one more thing I talk about communication too. Yes, sometimes, well, you have to be aware of when to talk. Not how alone, how to talk, but when and where to start a conversation. Especially if you're trying to express something to your spouse. You
That's
have to
not pleasant.
yes, especially that. So you have to choose the right place and time. Like don't wait on if we just come from work and tired. That's the time that you want to strike up a big conversation about how you're feeling. Um, let him settle down first, eat dinner and chill out for a little. Then
Eat
you
dinner as you cook.
can all that too.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So or don't wait until you're in at someone your friends are around and you start a conversation there. He might
Mhm.
not be comfortable expressing himself openly in that forum. So you have to be mindful of all those little things, when you want to start a conversation to express yourself to
So
your
two comments here I want to read. Lika Bliss said she's summing up the whole thing about emotion, using emotional intelligence, be emotionally intelligent. And Doreen says that video with the pastor hugging a gentleman for the first time had me in tears. The pastor was quite emphatic when he took that trip to honor the man's wish to be hugged. Absolutely, it's. You know, as I said, the Daughters of Sheba Foundation is a woman centered, a woman focused organization. Mainly women. We do have a few guys who have stuck it out with us, and one of them is Gabriel Melumo from Nigeria, and then we have Dougie Fresh in Jamaica. So those are the main two men who has stuck it out with us. So we are women focused, but even so, we're very clear that we need to understand men, not just their bad side, but their challenges, their struggles, and how we might be feeding into them, And so when I saw that video with the pastor hugging the man, it moved me. Not that I didn't know that, but it moved me because it was a great example to show us women that sometimes you see men carrying on, it's just a good hug them need, and maybe a good hug from a brother.
yeah.
Empathetic. Okay, so we're going on to our last 15 minutes here. I just want to run down a few other things in terms of strategies that we can use to feel more empowered in our relationships. Is always try to avoid blaming and
Right.
criticizing. Focus on the situation or the behavior rather than ascribing blame to somebody.
Right.
You know, discuss how it made you feel rather than criticizing the other person. This is something I have to be mindful of, even in my relationship with my daughters and with my daughter and my granddaughters. You know, so we have to learn how to give feedback and solution, rather than any at all, just throwing out blame and criticism.
That's
Another
true.
big, yeah, go ahead, Colleen.
Yeah, and I was just saying to put yourself in the other person's shoe, you know,
Absolutely.
and try to understand how they feel, are feeling. Go ahead, you can go ahead.
No, no, other big one is boundaries. Yes, people can have boundaries in intimate relationships. Let's just focus on intimate relationship. I never knew that. I never knew that. In my
Mhm.
longest relationship that I had is when it ended. And 2 years down the road, after me nearly kill off myself. Okay, sorry, not the Jamaican. Let me hold back on my Jamaican. Almost 2 years after it ended, and I almost took myself out of this existence, I started to learn about boundaries. Because for me at the time, I was like, what kind of boundaries? What are you talking about? We're in this, what's yours is mine and what's mine is yours. So let me see what's going on that phone. Please, ladies. I wouldn't even ask. I would just pick it up. I would expect it to be handed to me. I never expected my partner to be having conversations with anybody else. And if they were having conversations with anybody else, I needed to know the meat
Oh,
and
no.
potato of that conversation. Boundaries is such an important thing that a lot of us don't get. And good morning, Gabrielle. Well, it's not morning for you, it's afternoon. You're in Nigeria. Thanks for joining us. It's actually, it was just yesterday that I responded to someone who sent us an inbox message, telling me, and I'm not going to call names, obviously, but she was saying to me that she's having a problem with her mom. And she saw a video that we posted and she started to write to us, because she's having a problem with her mom. Her mom basically is jealous of her and so forth. So I think she wanted me to counsel her, and I was not going to do that. So I said to her, listen, you need to go see a therapist. But the only thing I would say to you is you need to learn about boundaries, you know, because it's just I think after communication, boundaries might be might be the next big lesson in relationship. What do you think, Colleen?
I think trust
Trust?
need
Okay.
to come, because if you don't trust the person, you are going to overstep their boundary.
Okay.
So
Gotcha. Makes sense.
you have to have trust going on between the two of you, because as you said about the phone thing you were talking about, if you had trust the person 100%, you wouldn't have the need to want to see what is on the phone or who
Can you
is
trust
talking.
somebody 100% though?
Well,
Seriously.
well, it depends on
I won't put
on
you on the spot and ask you if you trust your husband 100%, but generally speaking,
generally speaking. What I mean is, you might not have 100% trust, and usually something caused that to happen. You don't just go into a relationship and say, I don't trust this person. You wouldn't go
really?
into no.
That's how I go into anything.
You cannot.
I go without trust and hope that it will grow. I will grow to trust you.
Yeah,
Sorry, I told you folks, I am not the person for this conversation.
but
I am the most cynical person when it comes on to relationships.
you
So,
you
Colleen, you go ahead. I'll shut up.
but you cannot go into a relationship without. When people go into a relationship, they don't even think about trust. They don't think about much. You go in blindly because you figure, oh, love is there and love will conquer all. But you don't think about those little things, the trust, the respect, all of those things that a relationship need. You don't think about those things
That's
when you
why I
get
don't have problems.
exactly.
Oh, you agree with me? Okay.
So that is
Okay.
why I said we have to you have to know yourself first and then get to know the person next. But you will never know every detail of the person. I agree with that. You will never know, because There are things that you think you know, and by the time you marry and a few years pass, those new things are coming out that you have never seen. And you have to learn how to work with it and deal with it and see if you can manage it or you let it go. So there's a lot of choices and you have to make in a relationship, a lot of give and take. And communication, number one, I said, and building trust is number two. The person have to show you that they can be trusted. It,
Of
it's
course,
not
you would agree with Colleen, Gabrielle. Of course, you'd agree with Colleen. I want to agree with Colleen because if you trust someone, there's a level of behavior you would expect from the person. Okay,
right.
I'm joking.
So,
Thanks for that.
when the person do something, you're not going to question it. You're going to say, I trust him. So I know he, although he's going to walk into a situation, I know that he won't succumb to it. The what the world threw at him, and the universe will throw a lot of obstacles in your way to see how you manage it. So you have to understand and trust that your spouse or your partner is worthy of doing the right thing.
Okay, so we have stepped into the other aspect of that's the second strategy. The first strategy that I had was effective communication, and we've been talking about that. So now we've on
You're
naturally
talking about boundaries.
naturally we no, that's part of the
Okay.
communication. We have naturally, from in my outline, we have naturally now moved into building trust and respect, that as another strategy for the
Mhm.
relationship, so we nicely segued into that. So in terms of trust, okay, how do you, in your opinion, because I know for me, I do not go into, there was a time when psychologically I was told by when I was in training, when I was training to be a chaplain, right? We had to go through psychological assessment. And I was told that I had trust issues because I don't trust anybody. I really don't. Um, it was horrible back then. Now, I think that I don't care. I really don't care. So I kind of expect, they said that Colleen sounds like a
Expected.
trained counselor therapist. Great contribution to this discussion, Colleen. Good for you. And I'm supposed to be one who is trained, but I don't trust anybody. No, back then, I don't trust anybody. No, I really don't care. You do what you do. I do what I do. I hope that you respect me enough to not do certain things. And I hope that you understand that if I'm in a relationship with you, the only reason I'm in a relation, well, part of the reason I'm in a relationship with you is because I have a huge amount of respect for you. Okay. So that's how I have settled my trust issues, by not getting invested by what you said, Colleen, understanding that I'm not going to know you 100%, and neither are you going to know me. So that 5% that I don't know, that gray area, that's where I leave it. Okay. So for me, that's how I handle this trusting. But Colleen, as the counselor, the relationship counselor, how do we build that trust? I mean, how do you get somebody to understand that, listen, this is us, and yes, all of these nice girls are out there, all of these handsome hunks are out there, but this is you and me.
Well, the thing is, you can't make somebody do what you want them to do. You can only work on yourself, try make sure that you are doing all that you can do and be all that you can be, true to yourself. And then you can, one, hope that the person see what you're doing and try to be like you. Or two, you can build on the communication if that is what is lacking, because sometimes the lack of proper communication cause breakdown in the relationship. So if you see, you have to assess what is lacking in your relationship, and work on that particular area. If you see where the two of you argue all the time, you know that is communication. So you have to try see how can you work on it. How can you get that person to listen to you? Maybe you should try listening to them first, seeing hearing their what is going on with them. That is if the person chooses to talk, because some of them decide to give it the silent treatment. But if
Mhm.
that person decide to open up, listen, show them that you care about what they have to say, and and hopefully see if you can work with them, meet each other in the middle. If you do everything that possibly you can do within yourself, and it can't work, then see if a third party, preferably professional, can intercede. And if that don't work, then you know that maybe you have to give some extra space, for the person to work, find themselves. Maybe they just don't know themselves. The person just needs space to discover who they really are. Because if they're empty and cannot give anything to you, or give to the relationship, not particular to you, give to the relationship, yeah, they can't take out, you can't take out of an empty container.
Mhm.
So the person have to go fill themselves first, and then see if it is worthwhile, you can connect again, hopefully, and they will be able to have something now to offer that can help nourish the relationship and build it.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Colleen. Okay, so we're coming down to the last few minutes here. So we talked about, in terms of empowerment, some of the strategies where we covered whole various aspects of being effectively communicating with your relationship partner, whether that is intimate or interpersonal relationship partner. We looked at building trust, which is what Colleen was just talking about. And quite briefly, another way to foster empowerment within the relationship is to encourage each other to be independent and
Right,
pursue their personal goals.
right.
We don't have time to go into all of that. Uh, but Khalid, from your personal experience, um, I have been sharing, about my own experience when it comes on to relationship and being in an empowered relationship. Is there anything like a little story you have about an example that people can understand, you know, um, exactly what we all the things we just talked about?
Well, to tell you the truth, my journey is a long journey, and maybe
Mhm.
that's why I'm able to speak on it like that, because it didn't start out um journey. It started out as any normal person thinking that is, oh, that's the one. But then when push comes to shove and real life starts to hit you and you don't know how to manage it, that's when you hit the bottom, you hit the ground floor. And that's when you have to look up and say, Lord, I can't go any deeper. What should I do? And that's when you start to realize that you need to learn to know yourself. And in knowing myself, getting to know myself, that's how I was able to put more into what is needed in my relationship. Now, I see where it gets better because I'm able to listen more, I'm able to learn more, I'm able to discover more. And it is not an overnight thing, it took me years. And but if you are determined to you want it to work, and you put in the effort to make it work, and you see where it is workable and it's something that it can be done, then you're gonna make the effort to do it. And if it is worthwhile doing. So it depends on the relationship. If you want to fight for it, or you want to just let it go, if you realize you're fighting, you're beating a dead horse then.
There
If
you
it,
have it, folks.
if your horse is not dead and it surely
Relationship
then,
expert.
but if you beat the dead horse and the dead horse not going to do, then you know that it's time to let it go.
Okay, so that is going to be the topic for another conversation on Saturday morning. When to let go. When to let go of the dead horse. That one I can, that one, that's when Doreen would say, "Oh, Claudette sounds like she knows." Yes, I do. That one I know about, how to let go of a dead horse. Thank you so much, Colleen, for that. So just to recap what we talked about this morning as we wind down here, some of the key aspects of empowerment, being in an empowered relationship, aside from communication, is to really, I think the missing ingredient is what Colleen just said. Know yourself. Know
Yeah.
yourself before you jump into a relationship. Your self-esteem must be solid, and in my opinion, when I learned to regard myself more, that was when I was able to have respect for other people more.
Right.
Because then I was able to become more empathetic because I knew what I went through to get
Right.
to where I am. So it's so funny, but that's how it works. You have to know you before you can. It's just like you say, you can't give from an empty cup. You can't drink from an empty cup, just as you were saying. If you don't know you, you can't respect somebody. If you don't respect yourself, you're not going to know how to respect
Right.
other people. So in my opinion, in order to be in an empowered relationship, self-esteem, respect, and
That's
being supportive of each other. And
communication.
obviously, as we said about communication, trust and honesty,
Right.
boundaries, boundaries,
Boundaries,
boundaries. One thing we never talked about, two things we never talked about, Colleen, is conflict resolution. When
Mm.
there is a problem, because there is going to be
Yeah.
problems, no matter
Oh,
how
yeah.
empowered you are, how do you deal with conflict in an empowered relationship? Can you quickly say how you deal with it?
Well, I have to use all the strategies. Since I'm now empowered, that means I know myself. I use all the strategies that I know, and see if it works. All that you have said, all that you have highlighted, you have to use those.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
as an empowered person, don't drop your boundaries, obviously.
mm-hmm.
Keep your individuality, but learn to show respect, and build trust, and
Absolutely.
respect the other person's boundaries.
And if from another life, I was in the criminal justice system. In terms of conflict resolution, you're not going to resolve a conflict if you're focused on
And
blaming the other person, or if you're focused on winning the argument.
that's it.
You have to find a solution that both
So yes,
sides will be comfortable,
come
can
together.
live with. If them not even love it, they will be comfortable, with it.
It's yeah,
So
it's not about winning.
no, it absolutely cannot be
Not
about
about
winning.
winning.
Yeah, definitely one thing we didn't talk about, and we do not have time to talk about it this morning in terms of empowerment in a relationship, is sexuality. And I'll just summarize it to say, and Colleen, you don't have to tell us about your sex life. I just summarize it to say that when you're and I'm talking about intimate relationships here, when you're in an empowered, intimate relationship, you have to feel safe to
Yeah.
express your sexual needs and boundaries. I'm just gonna give one example. God, I hope Facebook or nobody block this. But for example, Jamaican men have a tendency, and I'm talking Jamaican men only because I'm Jamaican by birth. That's not a problem with Canadian men. I can testify. Jamaican men have a tendency to say that they do not participate in, as they call it, I cannot use the word, um, eating under the
External.
table in certain sexual activities, that they do not participate in that. Now, the wife or the girlfriend might want to participate in that. You need to feel free to express your needs and your desires to say, hey, this is something that brings me joy, pleasure, whatever. So can we negotiate it?
And
Negotiate it.
what does that come down to? Communication,
There you go.
expression of self.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have to
Exactly.
communicate and tell each other openly, open communication.
Right.
So the other
Right.
person can't know what you like.
Yeah, because this kind of intimacy, it has to be consensual, it has to be
Yeah,
enjoyable, and it has to be respectful. And that's the
right.
only way you're gonna strengthen your relationship. Um, so guys, that's it for today. I've lost Colleen from my screen, but I can see you on my phone, so that's fine. Um, we're gonna wrap this up. Colleen, any final words?
Just just know yourself, be yourself, your authentic self, and just practice what we have taught today, and you should be okay.
Okay.
If and nothing happens, what I said, if you do everything and nothing happens, just let go.
Okay. And that's going to be the topic of another live discussion. I don't know if it will be a Saturday morning, but thank you so much, Colleen, as always. And just to close, um, empowered relationships, I read this quote somewhere. Empowered relationships are those where two complete whole people come together. Let me repeat that. Empowered relationships are those where two complete whole people come together, not
Yeah,
out of need, but out of choice to create something greater than themselves.
yeah, and don't take it. They usually say, "Oh, we come together, we complete each other." No,
No,
you should have completed.
nobody's my better half or my significant other. I, I'm all of me and you're all of you. And that's what
Right,
that means.
right.
Some people take pride in saying that, oh, we complete each other. That's crazy. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And before this program that I have here die, um, I am going to say, but I think it has died. So if I'm not able to end this live, I wish you all a good day. Please join us tomorrow morning for Sunday Spirit at what time is it? 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And see you again next week, Saturday morning. Let me read this from my phone. Let's see. I don't know why it does this from time to time. Doreen Clark says, I came on this platform this morning to help to build it. I've noticed that a few more persons have subscribed and commenting. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Doreen. Thank you so much for your faithfulness as always. All right, Colleen, have a nice day. I cannot end
Bye bye.
this live properly. Something has gone haywire. Have a good day, everybody.
Yeah, okay, bye
Bye
bye.
bye.